There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to a few of you. Welcome to today's community briefing. Today is February 10, 2002, and our guests today are Wendy Gladney and Ron Williams, and we'll be hearing from them shortly. My name is Gregory Sneed, and the name of my company is Lifesaver Financial Services, where I help my clients keep more of the money they make, because I firmly believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. If you'd like to feel better about your money, I'll have some information in the chat, and we can certainly have a session and help you get reacquainted with your funds. And now, without further delay, my pleasure to introduce the queen of our community briefing, Ms. Crystal Mitchell.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, 80 degrees outside already. It feels like, hopefully it is, it will be. Welcome to the community briefing. My name is Crystal Mitchell. The community briefing is co-sponsored and powered by Recycling Black Dollars and the Black Business Association, the BBA. And we bring this program to our community so that they can meet their stakeholders and leaders that are making decisions on our behalf, and at the same time give us the opportunity to have conversations, because my favorite saying is, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and you need to have conversations about what's going on in your life and for your business and for your community. So I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as I have my own business, Mitchell Business Solutions. I provide coaching and consulting for small business communities, small businesses in our community, as well as I host two other podcasts besides this one, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m., streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. In addition to that, I have another podcast called Conversations on the Patio. We talk about all things retirement. One day, even those of us that are entrepreneurs should be prepared to retire. So tune in, check us out, and we're going to have a great show, have a phenomenal team for the community briefing. Mr. Gregory Sneed, Mr. Stephen Turner, and Ms. Robin Billups. We couldn't do this show without each other, and we can't do this show without you guys. So welcome. We have fantastic guests today. We're talking about Black love today, guys. A good topic since Valentine's Day is on the 14th. And so excited, looking forward to hearing from two individuals that they're the fine example of Black love. So we will hear from them shortly. I'm gonna turn it over to Robin so she can introduce herself. And Stephen, you're coming in at the tail end as usual. Okay, Ms. Robin Billups.
Good day, everyone. I'm excited to be here. This is my sorority sister that's going to be talking today, and we've been down the road a piece and kept each other propped up. I just want to say I truly enjoy the community briefing, and I always want to welcome our regulars. You know, what we do know is when we have certain guests, they bring in other people, which helps us to grow our audience. So, Wendy, we see a bunch of folks that because you're on today, they're dialing in, and we really appreciate that. So we can get started.
Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Robin. So today our guests are, well, one, we have some guests where we really need to give like an introduction. And then we have some guests that really don't need an introduction. And that's certainly going to be Wendy, but we're going to give her one anyway, because so many people here in the Los Angeles area knows who she is because she's active in the community. She's got a radio program. She's got books. And then also Ron Williams, we're going to give you your proper introduction as well. So, so Wendy is a life strategist, success coach, consultant, author, speaker. She's a multifaceted businesswoman. She's had close to 30 years of experience. She's the founder of Personal Services Plus, PSP, Seasons of Greatness, Forgiving for Living, and as a life strategist, coach, consultant, community relations, and strategic engagement expert, Wendy has worked with individuals leading community-based organizations, small businesses, corporations in America, all while building a reputation of delivering exceptional service. As Robin previously mentioned, she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. She was born and raised here in the Los Angeles area, and she'll be sharing with us a lot more information. Mm-hmm. Joining her is Ron Williams, and he's known as the Leadership Whisperer. He's an internationally recognized speaker and trainer with more than 30 years of experience in the public and private sectors. Been a trainer, coach, and expert on leadership. He's developed a unique way of presenting information that he calls edutainment. This high energy and highly interactive style combines thought-provoking content and entertaining delivery and makes audiences think, laugh, learn, and have a positive, fun-filled experience. Ron is also part of the Divine Nine, and he is part of, I think you said, Omega Sci-Fi Fraternity?
Incorporated.
He was born and raised in Chicago and in the south side of Chicago, and he'll tell us a little bit more about that and his fun with the Almighty Hawk. So now, without further delay, please join me in welcoming Wendy Gladney and Ron Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. So we're just looking forward to sharing with you some good tips that we both know are true and have worked for us. And, just to kind of kick it off, this is the Love Month, and we're loving to be here with you.
Okay, well, welcome. Glad to have you. So we're going to let you get started just talking about you guys yourselves, and then we will pop in some questions that should get us going. And not only is it the Love Month, it's the Black History Month. So it's That's even right. more love going on. We're not just loving each other as men and women, we're loving each other as people.
Yes, so true.
Cool. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Robin. Ms. Robin, you have the questions?
What I'd like for them to do is to talk about just a little bit about their background, and then let's get to the point of where they actually met. And then that way, then we're asking everyone, if you have questions, to throw them in the chat box. But I think what's most critically important is to understand that life is not a bowl of, life ain't no crystal stairs, right? Mm-hmm. And so we want to know, we don't necessarily want to know all the gory details. We want to understand how you got through it, right? How did you arrive at where you are right now, and with this clear understanding of who you guys are to yourselves and to each other.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let my husband kick off the ball and get started. Go ahead, honey.
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for having us as a guest. Well, we're kind of here to talk about our love in relationship to how we got together, and also about a book that I wrote called The Right Man Business Plan for Women, which is it's a business approach to relationships, which you don't often see. And so we're going to talk about that. But I met this beautiful young lady about 26 years ago, almost 30 years ago. And at the time, I was working, matter of fact, I was working at Nike, and she was doing a program for a client, and it was a celebrity basketball game. And she knew nothing about basketball. So a mutual friend of ours said, "Hey, I think I got a guy who can help you." And we met, and I must say instantly I was enamored by this woman. But during, in the situations that we were both in, it was, we were friends. And then over the course of the 26 years, we maintained our friendship. And then when opportunities presented itself, we were able to get together, date, and then get married. So we've been married for a couple of years now. But one of the things that we always talk about is that our relationship is God-centered, and it was God's timing that put us together, not necessarily what we thought the timing could have been, should have been. But when God brings you your partner, then everything seems to work out in its proper order. And that's what we're most proud about in relationship to our marriage, is that it is God-centered, and we believe God ordained. And we try to keep that in accordance to the way we treat and respect and love each other.
I'm gonna say we can't hear you, Crystal.
No,
okay, I'm sorry, that was my fault. That was beautiful. I think that, and so Wendy, you want to throw your stuff in there, and then we can dive into some questions.
Okay, sure. Yes. So, it's really interesting because I felt the same way. When we first met, I do believe it was love at first sight, but we were both married. Mm-hmm. We both lived in different states. And it was not time. It was not meant to be. And over time, we would connect and we would try to keep in touch. And we both went through divorces at different times. And in complete transparency, I know he's going to start laughing. When he proposed a couple years ago, before we got married, because we went into COVID with our dating and so forth, but he said, miles, marriages, and mistakes got in our way. And basically that was true, because we lived in different states. I could not move. I had young children when we first met, of course. And then as time went on, my business was here. And with what I did, I was basically a Southern California girl. Mm-hmm. And so moving was just not an option for me at that time of my life. And I still like California over Chicago. But we'll go visit in the spring and summer. But like to live there, it was just like, I don't think so. But so the miles, and then marriages, because when my husband went through a divorce, I don't know, a couple of decades ago, about 20 years ago, he remained single, and he dated different people, but he was still single. Well, for those who really know me, I've kind of been down the marriage track a couple of times. And what I realized was I was not really, I wish I would have read this book a lot sooner, because I was not really putting into practice some things that I should have done as relates to looking out what was best for my interest as relates to being a wife and being married. And so that was the marriages. And then the mistakes were just things that we didn't allow the proper timing to come in because of just our schedules, between business and personal and so forth. So it was miles, marriages, and mistakes that kind of held us back. And then what happened was a few years ago, I think it was in 2018.
Yeah.
In 2018, because I went through my last divorce in 2017, and I was done. I was like, you know what? I've tried this. I'm done. And I'm just going to devote my life to my grandchildren. I started being a grandmother back then. I was like, I'm good. I'll do this, and I'll serve the community and just love my family. But another mutual friend, because we only have 3 mutual friends that we both knew before coming together, passed away in 2018. So we reached out to each other. I believe I contacted him just to make sure that he knew that our friend had passed, because he was based out here, our friend, and he did know. And so that kind of started the conversation again. And I was single, he was single, but in a relationship. And so, just working some things through and all of that. And then eventually we just started talking all the time. And then he said, okay, are we doing this? Are we going to start dating? Because we never really dated. We were always just friends from afar. And even though he was my best friend and someone that I love dearly, there's a difference when you start throwing in that romantic nature and start talking about, you want to move this to, a different level of a relationship. And I kept saying, well, I want this and I want that. And okay, I want you to court me and I want you to date me this way and everything. And he just kind of laughed like he's doing right now. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then when it came down to, once he asked me to marry him, he was like, do you want a marriage or do you want a wedding? He said, because you've had a few weddings. I'm ready to give you a marriage. I was like, okay, all right, I'm on board, And my family, they've all known him for many, many years and knew of him for many, many years. And everybody was elated when he actually asked. They were like, what took so long? So here we are.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Go ahead, Crystal.
So what is the premise of the right man business plan for women? Ron, what does that entail? And how do we incorporate that into our love life?
Okay. Well, the premise of the book is really how to use business principles and what I call relationship economics to help single females find the right man to have a quality relationship. So I really wrote the book for 3 reasons: to help a person find out who they really are as a quality person, and how to find a quality partner, and then how to create a quality relationship using business principles. So that's kind of the premise of the book.
Oh, okay. Wow. And so why did you write the book? What was the passion and the inspiration behind that?
Well, having been in corporate America for many years and observing, people that I knew in the workplace, Some of them are very successful in business, but not so successful in their personal lives. And also included at that time, two of my daughters were in the same kind of situation. And when I started really thinking about it, it made me realize that some of the decisions that we make in business, we use reason and rationale and facts. And when it comes to affairs of the heart or romance, we don't use those same things. We use feelings and passion and emotions. And sometimes those aren't sometimes the best things to make quality decisions on. So, when you're making good decisions in the boardroom, you don't use those same principles sometimes to make decisions in the bedroom, so to speak, or to have a partner. And so the book is really, if you read the book, and if you're not a business person, it will help you identify what it takes to be successful in business. And if you are, you can use what that information is and transfer some of that into your relationship. And you see kind of the juxtaposition between romance and business.
And so what does the plan entail? So I teach people how to write business plans. So
Right.
so I know all the coordinates to that, but what does that look like when you're creating that love plan? I know for me, I'm single and never been married. So, and have had challenges over the years based upon who I am. I'm a alpha woman, and I am proud of that. And sometimes that's a little difficult and not difficult woman, but an alpha woman nevertheless. And so sometimes that's a little hard to match that up with a companion.
Right.
So true.
Well, just like if you're going to build a house, you need a blueprint. If you're going to write a movie, you need a script. Well, my feeling is if you're going to be in a quality relationship, you need a plan. And when we talk about plan, we're talking about identifying goals, being able to measure certain things in relationship to your performance or your expectations. So it really kind of serves as a roadmap. And one of the things, unfortunately, that we see in relationships is we go in from one bad relationship to sometimes another bad relationship, and we never identified what went wrong in the previous relationship. So we make the same kind of mistakes. Well, in business, we have data and analytics. We don't try to do things predicated on anecdotal information. We look at the data, the facts, the analytics of the situation. So in romance, if you keep having the same problems, maybe dating the same type of person, what is it about you that, we say, why do I bring these people in my life? We don't just bring them in, we let them stay in. And some of the decisions that we make, we don't really analyze why we're making them, so we don't make them again. And in business, there's certain things we have to do. And one of those is what we call our due diligence. And in romance, we don't always do our due diligence. We let people in our lives and we haven't inspected what we expected. And so it's a challenge sometimes.
Does that apply both to men and women? Because
absolutely
men have the same issue.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, it's interesting because some of the same information is applicable to men, but I actually wrote the book for women. But if a man reads it, he's going to pick up some things and say, wow, if I had only known that then, I wouldn't have done that. We would do better if we knew better. So, they say the only way that we change as an individual over the course of the next 5 years is through the people we meet in the books we read. And I think this book would help make an impact and a difference in people's life if they're truly looking for identifying a quality partner.
Mm-hmm. So, Wendy, did you read the book first?
Well, what's really interesting is when he wrote the book, because he's actually written a revised copy of it that we have now, but when he first wrote the book and he sent it to me, I glanced at it and read it a little bit, but I had attitude.
She was probably married at the time.
And so I had put it on the shelf, and then later when I got the book again and I started pulling it out. And, the thing about it is, I think I can relate to you, Crystal, in that when you're kind of an alpha woman, which I am in some ways, you can't not be and own your own business for 30 years and do the things and be out there doing different things without having kind of a strong will and so forth. But I also have a very domesticated side to me that a lot of people don't know unless you're part of my inner circle in terms of homemaking and cooking and cleaning and house, and family and all of that. But I never did really approach marriage the way that I should. First of all, I realized after reading the book that I went a little too fast because I tend to be a trusting person. I ask you questions, do you do this? Do you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? And for me, because of my beliefs, I'm like, are you a Christian? And if they were parents, do you take care of your kids? Do you pay your taxes? I tend to kind of be a little bit like that. And I'm a very transparent person, really. I mean, what you see is what you get. Who you know is really who I am and all of that. So I expect other people to kind of be the same way, especially when you're in a relationship and then you find out later not. But I didn't do the due diligence like he was talking about. But by the time we reconnected, I had read the book. And then after getting together, I read the book again and really to understand, because I knew this was it for me. I mean, look, I already been down this road a few times. I don't need to get married. I don't have any reason other than if I love you and I really want to be with you. But then, it's like, okay, what's love got to do with it? Is there compatibility? Is there all these other things that are so important, And he fit all of that for me from day one. But we also had to get to know each other again, because when you're in your 30s, which is how old I was back then, I'm now 60. When you meet someone, you're different at 35 than you are at 60, And so we had to make sure that we both could still be in that space.
Okay.
And part of let me just say, part of the relationship economics is whenever you're in any kind of relationship, be it business or personal, there has to be equity in the relationship. You're not going to get into a business relationship where you put in 90% of the finances and somebody else puts 10%. And in same thing in terms of romance, you want there to be equity, you want there to be mutual benefits, and you want there to be minimal cost. And sometimes when we go into these relationships, the partner, there's no equity. They're not bringing enough into the relationship in terms of, be it spiritual or financial or whatever.
Or emotional.
And, the person might not be emotionally available. So there's no equity there. Also, from the mutual benefits, what are you actually receiving from your partner and what are you willing to give? And when you look at the minimal cost, how much is it costing you spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially? So those are the kind of relationship economics that you have to think about before you decide to get into a relationship and let a person into your life.
And it's kind of funny. I was just telling this person that I'm talking to right now, we're getting to know each other. One of the core things that I have recognized as I've gotten older is that, of course, you have less patience for the BS. In fact, none. I have none, but less patience for the BS. But what we miss as older individuals or more mature individuals, that when we start dating, is the magic that's there when you're a teenager or a high school, right? You accept each other at face value. You're willing to get to know each other, and you're willing to let that relationship kind of blossom and feel all of the magical whatever feelings that you get. At this point, we tainted. We done been into a whole lot of bad relationships and whatever. Mm-hmm. And you're like, knock that silliness off. Let's just get to the meat of the thing. And I think that's from both men and women. Ron, so was some of the book created out of your own experiences and whatever your past relationships that didn't work, you kind of start to craft and could see what the real plan was, what the real problem was?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, Crystal. When I actually decided to do the book, I did research. I looked into my own personal situation because, I had been single for, almost 25 years. And I interviewed people and people who were in good relationships, bad relationships. So it was really an accumulation of knowledge and information that was practical, real life, not just read in a book, what people truly experienced. So the things that are actually in the book, I think most people can relate because it's real life. I talk about the fears that women have to overcome before they can find the right person. I talk about the 5 fears that women need to overcome before they can really find a quality partner. because there's things internally that they have to overcome before they're right for somebody else.
What are those 5 fears?
Fear of rejection, fear of rejection. Some people are really afraid of what other people think of them. So they're maybe afraid to show who they really truly are. What do we call the fear of being alone? Some people would rather be with a bad partner than no partner. And, women should be able to say, I can do bad by myself. So you have to get over that fear. And then the fear of failure. Some people stay in a relationship because they've been in so many other bad relationships or even a marriage. They don't want to be a failure. So, failure teaches us really what you should not do the next time. It's a learning opportunity. Then you got fear of exposure, that if we really show who we are, they won't like us. So we keep this mask on. And then, the last one is, which we all can relate to sometimes, is fear of commitment. And Crystal, you mentioned the older we get, the less we are willing to commit to either change or adjust or put ourselves in a position where we got to put up with somebody else's bad habits. And so we really don't want to commit. But you really can't get into a quality relationship unless you really get over those fears.
Excellent. We have a couple of questions in our chat box. So first, I want to make the comment that everybody is intrigued by. I love the question, do you want a wedding or a marriage? I think that is so very clean and so very clear. And what I heard from that, especially knowing your background now, Ron, I hear a lot of your Midwestern roots.
Oh, absolutely.
I hear a lot of your Midwestern roots, and I know Wendy and I know you because of Wendy, a God-centered relationship. I've been dating the same guy for 50 years. We've been married.
Did you say 50 years?
50 years, and we've been married 44 years.
Okay.
And I'm certain.
Congratulations.
And I don't like labels. I'm not an alpha woman. I'm how God made me. This is how He sent me here.
Yes.
And so people, I'm certain that people question how the hell we stayed together as long as we have because of my personality. I'm out there. I'm transparent. I'm open. I'm scared of God. That's the premise of who I am. So One of the things Greg said, I think this is so cute, a relationship SWOT analysis may be necessary, right?
Well, when we talk about in the book, I have that SWOT analysis, which are your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So you do that individually, and then you can also do that with your relationship. And Wendy and I have gone through that. And when you start identifying some of those things, because despite the fact that you love somebody, that doesn't mean you always like what they do.
Right.
And the thing that we've told people over the course of the years that has held us together, even when we weren't together, was the level of our friendship. It's when you love someone and they happen to be your friend also, sometimes you don't always love them, but the friendship is still there.
Right. Yeah.
And
well, to your point, there's these buttons that, especially when you've been in a long-term relationship, or even when you're in a solid relationship, there are buttons that you just cannot, you can't dance around. You can't even get close to them because if you hit that button, you're going to pop them out the box and they can't go back, right? So Mr. Walker, who's on here, one of our dear friends, he says, based on God to me means going to a place where your life condition is the highest and valuing of each other on that basis. And again, we're back to, I truly believe that, and I think the sustainability comes from having this spiritual relationship and using one of the things that you mentioned, and I think you need to illuminate this, is this spirit of discernment. Being able to discern who you are, but also to who you're talking to.
Well, discernment obviously, is a gift. And I think we're in a relationship to, when it comes to marriages or relationships, you have to be able to discern, is this real or is this infatuation? Because sometimes, men can be blinded by the beauty in the booty, and it's not based upon substance.
Right.
And you have to be able to discern that if this person, and I'll use women, if this person wasn't your man, would he still be your friend?
Exactly. Very good
He
stuff.
still be your friend?
Mhm.
Are there qualities about him that even if he wasn't your man, that you could still say, I like this, I like that, he's honest, he's got good character, I trust him? Would he still be your friend? And that's the quality that we're really looking for. Once you identify, and back to the business side, we are a product. Especially when you're out there looking for that quality person, you're a product. So when you think about a product, there has to be a proper packaging. There has to be instructions and directions, as well as ingredients, what's in it that make it what it is. And that's what we as an individual, we've got to look at ourselves and say, how are we positioning ourselves? How are we putting ourselves in the right way to be seen by the right person, to be in the right places, to do the types of things that would attract a quality partner? It's about marketing, it's about advertising, it's about public relations. So those types of things. And an example I talk about in the book is, if you are out on a date and you are telling your date how attractive she is and that she's a great conversationalist, that's marketing, because you're telling the right message to the right person. But if you're on that date and you're telling your date how great you are, that's advertising. But if somebody else tells you about your date how great he is, that's public relations. And when we talk about that in business, you've got to make sure, am I properly marketing? Am I doing the proper advertising? How is my packaging? What, people say, oh, I want to marry Will Smith, but are you Jada Pinkett, or are you, I mean, so most quality men are looking for a quality woman.
And Ron, I love that. One of the things the other last piece that you left out was the business development part of it. And I always believe that men like to chase, right?
Yes.
So women, don't be out there looking. Your job is to be in the get ready mode.
Mhm.
Your job is to be in the get ready mode,
right. But you know what? Men aren't looking for women who are getting ready to get ready.
Right.
They already want somebody who's ready. And see, a lot of times we get into that looking like we're getting ready to get ready. Well, a quality man is looking for a woman who's already ready. She's got it together.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Equally yoked.
But like I say, I wrote the book for women, so I'm talking to women at this point. Is what I
when are we going to have you come back in March when it's Women's Month?
Well, yeah, when Crystal and Stephen asked us to come, we're always ready to come. So
but of course,
whenever they ask.
Thank you.
But I do want to say that you can purchase the book and you can see what I'm talking about or what we're talking about. And here's what the book kind of looks like. And you can go to my website, which is ronaldwilliams.info. That's pretty simple. ronaldwilliams.info. And it's a website, and just hit the link that says books, because I have two other books on there. I have a leadership book, and then I have a self-help book called Reinvent and Into Yourself, Reinvent and Reinvest in Yourself.
Ron, there's at Christmas time, I was with some friends for the holiday at Christmas Day, and there was 4 young women that were there. They were all under the age of 30, and we were having, as conversations do, you get to relationships and so forth. So pretty much, there was several married couples. A couple of us are single, and then these 4 young ladies, and they were so disillusioned about love at under the age of 30. Yes. 25. I think one was 22, one was 25, and one had a child. I think she was 26, 27, and they were already giving up.
Right.
And when we look at Black love and we look at our families, that's one of our biggest weakness, right? Is that we're not finding our evenly yoked partners to build strong relationships for our children. So I think there definitely needs to be messages that are going out to our young girls, one, on what to select, and 2, to have respect for yourself and have your standards and your boundaries, and have a t-shirt. I'm sorry, I was just reading the comment that Ardina put. And
somebody liked your t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm about assistance. And have a checklist, right?
Right.
On for themselves, as well as what they should be looking for. Now, most of us are here over 50. So we kind of have an idea who we are. Now, whether we want to change, that's on us, but we know
Right.
who we are, right? But
Well,
our young girls don't.
Well, it's interesting, Crystal, that you bring that up, because in the book, there's a big section in terms of if you were going to start a business, you would have to have a business structure. And the same thing in what we do is we look at that from a relationship standpoint. As an example, if you were going to start a business, you have to determine, are you going to be a sole proprietor? Are you going to be a LLC, limited liability corporation? Are you going to be a partnership, or are you going to be a corporation? Now, in the book, what I do is I share and say, if you're going to be a sole partner, that means you're talking about dating. You're talking about someone who's single, looking to mingle.
A sole proprietor.
A sole proprietor.
Mm.
Now, if you're going to be, quote, in a partnership, you're looking for someone who's going to be looking for a monogamous relationship.
Mm.
Now, if you're going to be an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation, you're going to maybe cohabitate, shack up, live with someone, because you want it to look like, LLC, you want it to look like a corporation, but you don't necessarily want to have all the responsibilities of a corporation. And then the last one is a corporation, which is someone who's looking to get married. Now, it's important for you to identify what structure are you in. Are you a sole proprietor, single, looking to mingle? Are you a partnership wanting to be in a monogamous relationship? Are you a LLC wanting to live with somebody? Or are you a corporation wanting to be married? Now, once you identify who you are and what structure you are, then you need to identify, if you're talking to someone or potentially or dating someone, what structure are they? Because if you're a sole proprietor, single, looking to mingle, and they're a corporation wanting to be married, you might run that person off. When we talk about Black love, and love is a very, interesting thing in the sense that, and I can speak for myself, I would have been in relationships, and once the woman tells me that she loves me and I don't necessarily love her, that doesn't help the relationship. That makes me look for my exit strategy. So I mean, and I tell people when they're talking to me and they say, well, this happened or that happened, I said, well, did you love her? Yeah, I was in love. Well, all bets are off, because, love is blind, but it doesn't have to be stupid.
Correct.
And unfortunately, sometimes we allow ourselves to be in stupid relationships or do stupid things because under the banner of love.
Well, and Ron, and Wendy, I think that people tend not to listen to their gut, right? And the gut is to me, the gut is the Holy Spirit talking to you.
Right.
That's telling you what to do.
Right.
And so people, can you speak a little bit to that? Because I think that there's that feeling that comes over you that, this ain't right, this ain't going, this is going south, right. And then you just say, no, I'm just going to stick in. I'm going to stick and stay, that type of thing. I'm going to
let my wife talk about that, because we talk about that, because I do believe she has a spirit of discernment and I trust her gut, but she doesn't always listen to it like I think she should, but I'll let her talk about it.
Yeah, no, and he's correct, because in all honesty, when I've really listened to my gut and my instinct, like Robin, was sharing, it is the Holy Spirit talking to you, especially when you're filled with the Holy Spirit and you're a Christian. And I didn't always listen to it. And sometimes I would see red flags, speaking specifically around relationships, but it would either be like, I'm too far in now, or I can fix that, I can live with that, I can change that, I could, whatever. And at the end of the day, especially the older we get, no, pay attention to that gut, pay attention to your instincts, and don't think you can change anybody, because nobody's changing for you. That's for sure. When people change, it's because they want to change. And that should be something done, if that does happen, during the courtship, so to speak, not, thinking they're going to change after you get married and what have you. I do believe, because when I listen to my gut, both personally or professionally, I usually always end up on the right side.
And let me just add to that. from the standpoint of, and once again, I'm speaking to women, all men have flaws. All human beings have flaws, but some flaws are fatal. And it's not necessarily your responsibility to be in a relationship to stick with a person who has fatal flaws. And when you find a person like that, don't try to fix them. You should remove yourself from them, because eventually it will come back and hurt you. And sometimes to the point it's fatal.
Yeah.
Their fatal flaws become a fatality for you.
And to your point, we're all a brand, right? So then you don't need no taint on your brand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't need anyone tarnishing, as you say, tainting that brand. And some, the reality out here is there's people out here who aren't quality individuals. In the book, I refer to them as losers. And the fact is, when you put a loser into your life, what you find yourself doing is losing.
Yeah.
In so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, until you can get over, why do winners let losers be in their life? Why do successful people allow people who don't want to help them in their success stay in their lives? Why do we do that?
Well, I want to say something about that real quick, because since this book is for women, one of the things that I do know, whether it's things that I dealt with in my own past, but also working with young girls through Forgiving for Living that we help and mentoring and so forth, is when you've had issues with your self-confidence, or if you've had issues where you feel like what they call the imposter syndrome, where you really don't understand, how did you get here anyway? And so then you tend to sometimes accept things that are not for you, or that you say, oh, maybe I deserve this for whatever reason, and so we have to get out of that. And that's why I think it's important, just like what Ron was sharing earlier about, we got to understand who we are. And then also as women, we also have to understand our value and understanding what we bring to the table. And if you know you're a quality person, don't let anybody speak anything else into your life otherwise.
Right.
Believe in yourself. And if you make a mistake, because we all do, get over it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I know, even for me, I've struggled with, when I make a mistake, I just feel like, you know what, I don't have a voice anymore. I need to just sit down and be quiet or whatever. No, that's how we then share with others from our mistakes, so they don't make the same mistake, and then so that you can move on and grow.
I absolutely love that, Wendy, because you're so on point as far as growth. There's a program that I watch, my family watch, and actually majority of America's watching. It's called Married at First Sight. It's a reality TV show.
Oh yeah, I used to watch that with my daughter a little bit.
Yeah, it's very interesting because of the interactions of the couples and the experts and all that kind of stuff. So Ron, I think you actually, I'm gonna recommend you to be an expert on the show, because
I saw somebody
right now are having some major problems with that.
I saw somebody put in the chat box, forget Dr. Phil, we need Dr. Ron.
Yeah, we need Dr. Ron. But here's what I'm going to do, because I think this is your last question on your checklist, Wendy, was what is the secret sauce for your marriage? I'm going to ask you guys first. There are a number of you that are actually married couples and have been married for many, many years here in our audience. And if you don't mind sharing that, we would absolutely love that. For those of us that are single and looking, but before we start that, Ron, I have one more question for you. What is the best place for women to find the right men?
Well, so what? That's an interesting question. Now, some people are not going to necessarily understand this, but trust me, one of the best places that I think for a woman to meet a quality man is on the golf course. Now, people, well, I don't play golf. I'm telling you, number one, usually quality people play golf for whatever reasons. And I assure you that if a woman goes to a driving range to hit golf balls by herself, she's going to get some attention. Now, sometimes all attention isn't good, but a lot of times you will get quality attention. So golf courses are a good place. I believe sport bars are a place. I believe charity events are a good place. Sporting events are a good place. Church is a good place. Based upon what's going on over the last few years, we look at gyms as a place, but really sometimes same thing in business, the greatest advertising is, when people recommend someone, referral.
Mhm.
And if a person knows who you are and they know that other person, I mean, that's how we met. We met on a referral. From that, and matter of fact, the person said she's a female version of you, and you're a male version of her. That's what they thought in terms of us, and they were right in a lot of manners. So a quality person needs to put themselves in a situation where there's other quality individuals, and I just named some, but I really think it's important before you start dating, you've got to be mentally and spiritually healthy to be able to receive friendship and to give friendship.
Mhm.
And you should not date someone who's not worthy to be with you. Now, worthy, and I'm not talking about people who are arrogant or narcissistic. I'm just saying before you decide to start dating, make sure this person is a quality, at least you think that they are someone who is worthy to be with you.
All right.
Don't sell yourself short.
Excellent.
Great.
And
Great
the other
advice.
thing, and I tell this to my wife all the time, and she gets mad at me when I say it, but people will treat you the way you let them treat you.
Mhm.
So,
Touchdown, baby, touchdown.
Yep.
So, but because this beautiful woman here, and part of my secret sauce is I just love her. I love her. I used to say, I drink her dirty bath water. I used to love this. I love this woman. So part of
Ronald, Wendy, we thank you so much on behalf of all of the community briefing. I mean, Black love is here on this Valentine's week. And with that, we're gonna please stay on. We have a quick announcement from our community expert, Dr. Vicki Mays.
Hello, family. This is about Black love as well. This is just a very quick update. I don't know how many of you have gotten your, let me see if I can make it look, your COVID test from the federal government. Okay. Oh, I see Crystal shaking her head.
I got mine.
Oh, Crystal, we got to find out why they're not coming to your house.
That's all right. I got one up the street. I'll just go right up the street to the church and get mine done.
I got one, but it looks different than that one, but I got one.
You got one. Okay. There was a study that came out just recently. We don't know yet what the outcome's going to be, but these things were shipped and we've had horrible winter weather.
Mhm.
So there is a concern as to how effective they might be if what happened is they were in transit and it hit below 35. So they're going to have to start looking at some of these and seeing. So I'm going to tell you that just so that, don't skip too merrily along if you use them and they may say you're negative. Just follow up because they're worried about the temperature control in the transit. Nobody was thinking it was going to get that cold. So that's, just a little bit today to make sure that, if you're depending on this to keep your family safe, that, if it's the government ones, you might have to check a little bit further and see if you should take some others because science is still out, but they're going to try and test some and see if they can figure out whether or not they were subjected to below 35 degrees.
That's very good, Dr. Mays. I had not heard that or even thought about that. We were just glad to get them in the mail finally, right?
I know.
Thank you.
I want to make sure there's all kind of little things.
Yeah.
So, that impacted. Oh, and the last thing, look on the back of them. I don't know about yours, but mine says as far as April 2022. This is why the federal government gave them to us. They've been sitting in the warehouse getting ready to expire. So mine expires April 2022. So look and see what your expiration date is. Don't let them just sit there and not use them, but instead realize they might be expiring pretty soon.
Excellent. That's excellent.
Thank you very much. Wow.
Great question, Dr. Mays. Any
Sure.
other variants coming? Is Omicron it, or is that Sigma or Pi or?
No, remember Omicron sent off his little cousin. So there's a, so we got cousins now before we start jumping to the, to the next letter yet. So, so we're waiting to see. It was thought that the newest variant might be more infectious, but they're still testing. So we don't know. So, what I will tell you is, remember, we're potentially at the edge of changing our masking policy. I'm going to say something to you that you should think about. And you can just say, I said it to somebody if they make fun of you, which is, if you're not ready to let go of your mask, don't. I don't care what, you have to realize that when we give you this, city warning or CDC warning, it is for the general public. If there's something about your hood, your hangout place, or something else that says wear your mask, the first time somebody says to me, man, why are you wearing that mask? Say, the doc said to wear it. So I'm
following the science.
Yep, I'm good. The science is what I'm following. Y'all do what you want to do. Just make sure that if you die, that I'm only going to do the video, that I'm not coming to the funeral.
And know that in Los Angeles, we got a whole bunch of folks on their way to Los Angeles because of the Super Bowl. I would not take my mask off for nobody right now. Stay the hell out of Inglewood and stay away from crowds.
Where do you think I live? Okay.
Hey, don't be trashing Inglewood now. Come on.
I'm so sorry, but it's going to be scary around here.
It's true.
Thank you so much. Our guest, we have a Daryl Brown is going to be our guest in a couple weeks. So we're excited about that. So you guys want to come back. We do have an announcement from one person, but before we get to that person, for those of you that don't know, Michael Jones, who was the president of Crenshaw Chamber of Commerce, passed away on Sunday from leukemia. So please send love and blessings and prayers to his wife and family. They've been together. That's some Black love right there, all the way from middle school, all the way up to today. So they're going to need our support. She's going to need our support. She's going to need the community's support. So send your love to them. You'll probably need to check his Facebook page or Jackie's Facebook page in order to find out when the services are going to be, but definitely send our love to them and our support and some condolences. Watson, you had a update you wanted to share with us?
No, I just want to say hello, and I enjoyed the conversation. For those of you who don't know me, I'm all the way from Baltimore City.
Oh.
I'm not in California, so I don't know how I got in this group, but I love it. And a little bit about my organization. I'm the president and CEO of Baltimore Community Lending. We are a CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution. We provide loans to small business owners, mostly minorities, Black and Latino in Baltimore City. And also we do affordable housing and in the various neighborhoods. So I'm the CEO, and we're doing a lot of work for the past 2 years on making sure we revitalize communities. But it's nice to meet you all, and I'm enjoying the conversation. Am I the only person out of California?
Every now and then we have a couple other people that pop in from different places. I
was wondering how come I came in, but I was invited to this, so I'm just enjoying it. And amen to everything you have said. And happy Valentine's Day.
Well, tell some of your friends to watch, because we just talk about stuff going on in the Black community, which is usually duplicated around the country. So
it is.
It's not unique just to California. So we are glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining us, and keep coming back. Now I'm going to ask you guys, I still want to know the secret sauce for your marriage. So I'm going to ask you to go to our Facebook page, go to Recycling Black Dollars Facebook page. And under this particular show, which is airing on streaming right now, please put in your secret sauce for having a successful marriage, and especially if you've been married over 20 years.
Yeah.
Actually,
Wendy,
for that
Wendy, you
matter,
had a comment?
5 years.
Wendy, you had a comment?
Just was gonna ask, Miss Bruce, do you do work with the industry in Baltimore? Because I know they're big. there.
Oh, yes.
I
In
don't hear you.
California too.
Okay.
That's
Yes,
probably
of
how you
course.
got here then, because
Yeah.
we had the president from Lindustry, the CEO, on the show, and that's probably how you
okay,
got
of
the
course. All part of Black CEO CDFI, they call the alliance.
Right.
I'm a member, so I know him very well, the president and the group here in Baltimore. I work with them also.
We did a show on CDFIs a couple of weeks ago, and her name was Donna, and I can't remember her last name.
Yeah,
Yes,
Gabrielle.
and so that's
Yes.
probably where the invitation came. So we appreciate
okay.
Okay, Donna Gambrell. Mhm.
Yes.
it was exceptional.
Yeah,
And
she's the chair.
today's show was just amazing. You know, we've married relationship and business, right?
Yes.
Because, and I love what you guys said at the top of the show. There is no difference because it's people.
Yeah.
You're dealing with people, right?
Exactly. It's
And-
relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wendy and Ron, thank you. We got to have you guys back because we know when the new iteration of the book comes out, there's some other stuff Ron wants to tell us, and Wendy is in the amen corner.
Amen. That's what I told him. I said, I'm your amen corner today.
And Ron, I'm sure that make a chapter for couples that have been together, because every now and then you hit some rough spots.
Mhm.
And the corporation get a little shaky. Even in business, corporation gets a little
That's
shaky.
right.
The business model gets worn. So, Stephen, you want to tell who's going to be here next week?
Next, we have Gregory Doolin, owner of Doodles on Crenshaw. He's going to talk about the COVID-19, how it pivoted, the Super Bowl, and soul food. Oh my, oh me. Next week on the 17th, Gregory Doolin.
Bro,
It's
God
been-
be with him so they could deliver us some of those ribs, brother.
Send out samples before he come on the show. Is that what you saying, Richard?
Exactly, Crystal. All attendees.
We'll give you your credit card, Richard.
Again, Ron and Wendy, we thank you so much for joining us on Community Briefing, Black Lovers Everywhere. Robin, close us out.
Well, before that, make sure you guys get Ron's book, The Right Man to Business Plan for Women. Share it with your young women in your family. Trust me, they're really, really discouraged about love and where to find it and how to find it and how to keep it. Some of us older one too, but get his book. Man, you guys read that book too. So you make sure you're making everything right so that we're both, and have information, not just the woman. We need both of us to be knowledgeable. So with that, Robin, I am going to turn it over to you guys. Be safe this weekend. Super Bowl, mask up. Robin.
You guys, if you look on my Facebook page, my mom turns 94 Valentine's Day. Her mother died in childbirth. So if it be your holy will, please send her a note. You know, we're just trying to blow her socks off about Black love, right? And again, Ron and Wendy, this was just so apropos as we kick off our Black History Month. We have some great guests coming up later on this month. Daryl Brown and I, we raised our kids together. That's my brother from another mother. We all remember Aunt Kizzy's. You know, we remember Adolph Doolin and the foundation that he laid, and look at the legacy that his sons have brought forth. So the mission of the community briefing is for us to share our stories, to tell our stories, for us to learn, for us to hear. And I don't believe people change. I think they make adjustments because they want to be with you.
Right.
Folks don't change, they make adjustments, and adjustments becomes the change. So again, this was just wonderfully presented, and great comments in the chat box. And I think we should probably do this maybe once a month, because
Yeah.
there's some information out there that we all need and we can all share. So again, you guys have a wonderful Super Bowl weekend. Let's continue to support these Black coaches who are getting beat up. How is it? It astounds me that 70% of the players are African American, Black, and not one person in the C-suite, including the coaching staff, right? Or maybe one or two. And so we again have to own who we are. We have to be reminded of where we spend our money, and we have to listen to the science, which is our Dr. Mays, and we want to thank you too. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Have a
Happy
wonderful weekend.
Valentine's Day.
Take care,
Happy
everybody.
love. See you guys next Thursday. Be
All right,
safe.
bye-bye. Love
Bye.
you guys.
Thank you.
Daryl.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Wendy
Thank you,
and
thank
Ron.
you.
It's been
Daryl.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Crystal.
bye-bye.
Thank you, Robin.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Dr. Ron.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Mr. Washington.
Thanks, everyone. And wait and call me, Baltimore.
Oh,
call
hey,
me.
Andre.
Hey,
Andre, good to
Thanks,
see you.
Crystal.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all, Greg, everybody. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Welcome. Glad to see you.
With the T
See you
involved.
guys. Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Let me stop some sharing here. Whoops.